Now that we've learned how to divide a fraction by another fraction, we learn how to divide a whole number by a fraction, as well as a fraction by a whole number. The first example is the one we see here. We have 3, which is being divided by 2 over 5. Well, the method for calculating this is very similar to what we've already seen for division by a fraction. Indeed, the important thing to remember is that division by a fraction is the same thing as multiplication by the reciprocal of that fraction. Consequently, we can write that this equals to 3 times 5 over 2, where 5 over 2 is the reciprocal of 2 over 5. Now that that's done, all we have to do is calculate this multiplication. And just as we saw when we learned about multiplication with fractions, to multiply whole numbers and fractions, all we need to do is multiply the numerator by the whole number. In other words, all we have to do here is multiply the 5 on the numerator by 3. So that would equal to 3 times 5 over 2. And since 3 times 5 equals to 15, that's 15 over 2. And we're done. We've just divided 3 by 2/5. Now, the method we've just used could be generalized with a formula. Indeed, say we have any whole number a which is being divided by a non-zero fraction b over c. Then we can state that this equals to a times the reciprocal of b over c. So that's a times c over b. And just as we've seen, to multiply a whole number by a fraction, all we have to do is multiply the numerator by that whole number. Using that fact, we could push this formula a little further and state that any whole number a divided by a fraction b over c equals to a times c over b. Okay, we now know how to divide any whole number by a fraction. But what if we wanted to divide a fraction by a whole number? For instance, say we have to divide 2/3 by 5. Well, again, the method stays the same. Indeed, dividing any number by 5 is the same thing as multiplying that number by the reciprocal of 5. This means that we can write that this equals to 2 over 3 times the reciprocal of 5, which is 1 over 5. And we're now faced with two fractions that need to be multiplied. And we know how to do this. All we have to do is multiply the two numerators together as well as the two denominators together. In other words, this equals to 2 times 1 over 3 times 5. And that's equal to 2 times 1, which is 2, over 3 times 5, which is 15. And we're done. We've just divided this fraction, 2/3, by this whole number, 5. And the method we've just used here could again be generalized with a formula. Given a fraction a over b, which is being divided by a non-zero number c, then this equals to a over b times the reciprocal of c. And since a over b times 1 over c is calculated by multiplying the numerators together as well as the denominators together, we could push this formula a little further and state that a over b divided by a non-zero number c equals to a over b times c. And there we have it. We now know how to divide a whole number by a fraction as well as a fraction by a whole number.